A little while ago, Mr. Thrive and Survive issued a challenge to Simon Dan and other debunkers. I rose to that challenge and I think it's time for a bit of an update. When I took up this challenge from Rich, he asked if we could keep it cordial, no ad hominems, no joking and messing around, and I stuck to that with a straight video, and he did with an initial response. So let's get stuck straight in, right at the beginning. This is the original challenge from Mr. Thrive and Survive. Can you prove me wrong, Simon Dan, or anyone else? It gets old hearing the same old lazy empty argument from people who want nothing more than to hold on to the fables they've been told and taught since early childhood. So this is a challenge for Simon Dan or anyone else to actually do the work, like we do, instead of armchair talking about science and never doing any. This is free, no money needed, and the only excuse is laziness if it isn't done. Prove a penumbra which is larger than the blocking object's diameter actually exists using our sun and any blocking object. Use any distance you'd like. What? Are you afraid of what you might discover? That NASA and mainstream science has lied to you all along? So, armed with a cardboard disc and a sheet of paper, I rose to Rich's challenge and attempted to prove that I could show a penumbra larger than the original blocking object using the light of the sun. So this was my original experiment. I'll speed it up at points just to save time. But I've got a cardboard disc, a piece of paper in the sunlight, and a circle drawn around the cardboard to give us a size, an original size. First I moved the disc over the circle just to prove it's the same size. Then I moved the disc further and further away, trying to keep it lined up with the circle as best as possible. When I'm at the right sort of distance, we zoom in on the camera so that we got a good sized image to deal with later on. And finally, we return the disc back to where we started. This is all in one long continuous shot, so there's no trickery. All good so far. I then took that film and using the GIMP graphics package, I then proved the penumbra is larger than the blocking object. I played the video and took 3 screenshots, one with the disc not over the paper, the second while it was just a short distance away from the paper, and a final screenshot with the disc far away making the penumbra. I then took the first image as a control, took it into GIMP, and using colour select I deleted all of the white paper just to show how it would work. I then did exactly the same with a second image that has a shadow on it to show what that would look like once I had deleted all of the white paper. Finally, I did the same again with image 3, deleted all the white paper and demonstrated that there is a penumbra and that the penumbra is larger than the original blocking object. Mr. Sensible proves larger penumbra. What does it mean? Thanks to Mr. Sensible, who, unlike Simon Dan, will do the actual science and not just rest upon the work of others as factual truth. Thanks for that, Rich. This is an acknowledgement video where I will discuss his results. In the follow-up video to this, I will explain what his observational proof actually means. Have no fear, it all turns out for the good. Well, I've waited for this follow-up video, Rich. I have waited and waited and waited. In fact, I have waited over 5 weeks for this, and Rich, all we're hearing is crickets. I tell you what, Rich, let's give you about another 30 seconds while I thank my patrons. Massive thanks to all my patrons, including new patrons Leo Banks and Paul Howarth, and my latest patrons Loretta Carroll, Steve Ierson, Flint, Tatty Bogle, Watto, Elizabeth Sagan and Michael Burnham. Thank you all so very much. Nope, still nothing. Tell you what, Rich, let's have a quick chat about umbras and penumbras and see if we can't get you to understand it. This is a typical diagram showing the Earth and Sun, not to scale, and the umbra and penumbra. As the Sun is not a point source of light, light comes from different directions, from the top, from the bottom, and from everywhere across the face of the Sun. From any one of those points, a different shadow is cast. Where the shadow cast from one direction is overlapped by light from another direction, it's not very dark. That's the penumbra. The umbra is where, no matter which direction from the Sun you come, there is never any light. It's full shadow. It's overlapped shadow. So I thought, let's do a little demonstration to explain this to you. So here's the basic setup. We got the lighter on a box, and we will cast a shadow onto the paper using this little LED lamp. Now, that's got multiple LEDs, which is going to have an effect, but I'll hold it vertically rather than horizontally to minimize that. Okay, let's get the light switched off and give them a go. Right, you can see I'm holding the light, casting a shadow onto the paper. I'll try to go closer to the paper so that we get a good effect. So there's the light in a central position. There's the light to the left. There's the light to the right. So I hope that's clear. We had 3 positions of the light source and therefore 3 different positions of the shadow. Let's replay that and take freeze frame images of each of those 3 light positions. Right, you can see I'm holding the light, casting a shadow onto the paper. I'll try to go closer to the paper so that we get a good effect. So there's the light in a central position. There's the light to the left. There's the light to the right. So here are the 3 snapshot images. Just looking at the shadow of the lighter, not the box, and ignore the top, which is fuzzy because, as I said, there's multiple LEDs. The vertical lines are fairly sharp and certainly good enough for this demonstration. Now, our light source was first at position 1, then 2, then 3. In reality, with a wide light source like the Sun, it's shining from all of those directions at the same time. So what we'll do is stack the images. We'll start off with a white background. Next, we'll add the first image, set to 50% opacity, so you can see the white background is bleeding through. Next, we'll add the second image, with the light source towards the left casting a shadow towards the right, again at 50% opacity. And finally, the same again with the third image, light source towards the right casting shadow towards the left, again 50% opacity. So we're only looking left to right because of the shape of the actual LED light. With each of those 3 images, I don't think you'd quibble about them, Rich. Position 1, 2 or 3 each cast a firm shadow, and each of those shadows was cast into a slightly different direction. With these 3 images stacked, it's like having light coming from all 3 positions at the same time, each one casting a separate shadow. It's very, very easy to see that the very central portion, where it's very dark, that is where, no matter which of those 3 light positions we were shining a light from, shadow is cast onto that point. It's always in shadow. That is umbra. Aside from that central section, there is always light coming from one of the other 2 positions. So it's not fully dark. That is penumbra. So Rich, there is nothing deceptive here. This isn't some great conspiracy, this isn't NASA lies or anything like that. It's simple geometry and the paths of the rays of light. No more, no less. A while back, Rich, you mirrored a video from some guy and agreed with him that shadows cast by the sun onto a radar dish ball didn't match that of the moon and that there was something wrong. It was pointed out that the filming was done from different angles. The guy who made that video did some further testing, wandering around with a little foam ball on a stick, and admitted he was wrong. He received kudos for that. No one can blame him for being wrong about something, then looking into it, correcting himself and admitting he was wrong. You had said during your mirror that you were going to do more work and more tests with that guy. He's admitted he was wrong. You haven't. Have a good look at the demonstration I've given today. Consider, should you admit that you were wrong, or that you misunderstood, or perhaps just failed to visualise what we're talking about? Do that, Rich, and you have my respect. Otherwise, what I expect from you is the video you promised back 23rd of June showing what this penumbra that I showed existed using the sun, showing us what it means. I look forward to seeing that, Rich, and I look forward to seeing that very soon. Until next time, stay sensible.
Shut up and sit down.